What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. It's your host, Brent Bilski, a.k.a. Double B, or the 110 Soldier. Today, the world is caught up to the WNBA's attitude problem. I think the Caitlin Clark thing, voting her ninth, is what finally did it.
Cut the shit.
And it's one of those things I saw coming. I tried to tell you. It was just inevitable. There was too much pandering. There was too much letting them do their own thing. But the one benefit that happened from that just disgusting ninth player vote of Caitlin Clark of all All-Star guards just kind of solidified it, so I will talk about that. In other better news, I still want Shohei to close, and they don't want to do it. I think they're absolutely nuts. LA Dodgers, just do it.
Do it! Just do it!
Just do it. After this last game where he threw bullets in the first couple innings and you lost, I got plenty to talk about with that. I also have a letter to the Los Angeles Lakers. I want to talk specifically to skinny Luka. I want to talk to a possibly greedy Austin Reaves. And I want to talk to a bitchy LeBron James and Lakers fans in general and just ask, what's your problem?
What's your problem? What's your problem?
I don't quite get why y'all are so frustrated, but we'll talk about that as well. But got to kick off with NBA free agency. What a wild period. Already 100 moves since June 30th between signings and trades and extensions and waivers and claims. And there's some big ones we got to discuss at the beginning, but I will focus on three here in a second specifically because, as Mark Cuban once said, it's always the little decisions that seem to have the biggest impact. It's always the little decisions that have the biggest impact. And I think there are three moves everyone's kind of either slept on or not talked about enough, and I will get into it. But the big ones were big and do need to be discussed. I mean, I'll start with the first team, Atlanta Hawks, and rather than Hawks, I'll call them hyenas, and they're making a smart move to try to put it in their chips this year, much like the Detroit Pistons, because when you're one of the smaller animals in the jungle, you got to wait till when the lion and the tigers are a little bit hurt and pick at their, carcass. That's basically what has happened here with Atlanta. I love the moves they made. So have a lot of experts. Porzingis in the trade, stealing him from Boston was really smart. I think adding a shooter like Luke Kennard to come off your bench and also be there next to Trae Young makes them even more dangerous. And then a lot of people, of course, love the Alexander Walker move, getting him from the Timberwolves. That was huge. Atlanta, much like the Pistons, I think has quietly pushed themselves into an Eastern Conference that is very weak thanks to the major injuries with Boston and Indiana. Pelicans, a lot of people shit on the Pelicans moves and Joe Dumars, and historically you have a right to say so, but Poole and Looney, coming from Warriors fans, it's a championship experience, even though a lot of people may not see everything that they add. And then adding Fears and Derek Queen in the draft, yes, I know they had to trade up to get them, but I still like overall the moves they made, and of course it's all going to come down to the health of a Zion Williamson and see if he can stay in shape.
Chili, baby,
Another story for another day. The Dallas Mavericks do need to get their love, and yes, a lot of it was luck with Nico Harrison. I'll be the first to admit it, and I think he should too, even though he tries to say, oh, it was all part of the plan, and once again, cut it out.
Cut the shit.
You got so damn lucky. Some people claim conspiracy. We'll never know. But I do know that adding Cooper Flagg and now D'Angelo Russell on a very cheap deal, only $6.5 million for the next 2 years, that's a hell of a starting five, even with Kyrie hurt to start the year off, to have D'Lo and then have Kyrie Irving come in along with Klay Thompson, Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, and Lively, who I love at center for a starting lineup. That's a hell of a decent squad there, and they're working on their bench and defense, and I really like what the Mavericks have done all along, and I think they will be a threat to the West that some people think that they'll be. And in Los Angeles, I'll talk about the Lakers later, but the Clippers, who are underrated in my opinion, when Kawhi came back, boy, they really made a nice run, and including the playoffs as well. Bringing in a Brook Lopez, again for cheap, only $9 million a year was a nice move. I like re-signing Harden. Of course, with them, it always comes down to Kawhi and his mercurial attitude and his health, and will he be able to play? But the Clippers were underrated last year. I think they'll be underrated again this year. Getting to the bigger moves, though, Houston Rockets.
Rockets, I'm always about the Rockets. It's always about the Rockets.
Look, a lot of people, including experts, really like what Houston did, and to me, I think you made a lot of moves just to move sideways.
You mean we did all this for nothing?
I still look at the moves you made, and boy, you made a ton of them. I still don't see a championship team or contender. And yes, Kevin Durant was a great pickup. But even the trade, I didn't love it as much. Giving up Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks and the number 10 pick, which ended up being Malawach, who I think can be a heck of a player in the NBA. I know they added Finney Smith and basically stole him from the Lakers. A lot of people really like that move. They signed Capella, a nice veteran center as well. But I still see just a lot of motion and no actual momentum. I mean, I look at Houston, And I think about it, and I look at your regular season record. It was a big part of your playoff run last year. I don't see you in the second seed again after losing Green and Brook. So the regular season and stacking that record a lot of times comes down to needing young, energetic guys who are durable and still have stuff to prove. Guys like Kevin Durant are the antithesis of that, and the ones you gave up to get him, guys like Jalen Green. In case y'all forgot, Jalen Green didn't just play all 82 games of the regular season. He was your leading scorer in the regular season. I don't know about his attitude off the court and everything else, but his 21 points in 33 minutes in all 82 played at just 23 years old, he was a huge reason you had the regular season record that you did. Dylan Brooks, who I think is half a moron and just absolutely out of his mind sometimes, played phenomenal for you guys. I think he knew he was one basically antic away from being shipped off to China there, but he played also 75 games. He had 14 points. He shot extremely well, and more importantly, he took his defensive assignment seriously. Even on a Thursday in Game 34 of the regular season, these guys were willing to play hard at a time when a lot of the veterans don't, and I think that's key to getting an increased regular season record and the shocking number 2 seed that you did. Meanwhile, Kevin Durant missed again 20 regular season games last year. That's not unusual. He hasn't played 70 games in 5 of his last 6 years. He's 36 years old, and as y'all are going to come to find out, as talented as he is, there's a reason he bounces around. He's a weird guy, man.
You're a weird guy, Ace. Weird guy.
He's a weird dude. He seems more interested lately in winning Twitter beefs than titles. I just don't know what's up with him sometimes. He seems unfocused as he gets older and even just stranger and just kind of this enigmatic figure that I don't know might work with this young roster that really did have a lot of cohesion that is now gone thanks to losing guys like Brooks and Green and some of the heart and soul of what you had before. I said you needed a scorer after you lost to Golden State. I was like, God, these guys are one scorer away, and you got it. But I just don't have y'all just penciled in the way that some experts do. I just don't look at you and go, oh my God, the Houston Rockets are legit. Houston Rockets are going to win it all. Look out for the Houston Rockets. I think you made a lot of moves to go sideways. I think you made a lot of moves signifying sound and fury, but really signifying nothing. I just don't see it the way everyone else does, but we'll see. You should have went and tried more for Giannis, who I still think should be available. I do not quite understand Milwaukee Bucks and the moves you made. I'll give you credit that you went out and did the only thing that you could. But I'll also say sometimes when you love someone, it means letting them go, not holding on tighter. You did the best you could with the move that you made. Waiving Damian Lillard over the next 5 years and extending that contract not only helps him, but helps you and allowed you to go get Myles Turner, who I cannot believe left the Indiana Pacers to get his money to come to join you guys. That's a nice franchise-level center now you have along with Giannis Antetokounmpo. But I still don't think that's enough. I mean, you don't own your first-round pick until 2030. You're still over the first apron as far as the salary cap goes. And once again, Bucks fans, I still think you got to let Giannis go, man. Just refill your cupboard. You made all the moves you could, and I'll give you credit for getting creative and making the moves you did to get Turner. But the facts still remain that you lost the first round in the last 3 years straight, even though it might have been health. Giannis wants to play for a winner. All the moves you made previously, you now lost everything in your cupboard. It's bare. You don't have any draft picks that you own outright till 2030. You gave away your assets trying to make the moves. You rolled the dice. It didn't work. And I like Myles Turner. I like him a lot. I would have loved to see him on the Warriors, but it's not enough. It is not enough to push you even in the weak Eastern Conference. You need to reload. You need to refill. There's still 2 teams out there that I think are prime for the pickings, and I will include the San Antonio Spurs still in this category, and a lot of other people do, and they could offer you so much and help you out, young guys and picks. Certain mocks I've seen include things like Stephon Castle, Keldon Johnson, 2 first rounds, 2 pick swaps in 3 seconds. That's a nice haul. Another one I've seen projected, or at least put out there, is Castle and Dylan Harper, the number 2 pick this year, with just a money match, and maybe you don't even have to give away so many picks in San Antonio. And if you're Milwaukee, that's 2 high-level picks over the last couple years. That is a nice way to rebuild and restart your franchise. But I would still want picks, and I would still want flexibility that you don't have anymore. And I'm going to keep saying it until somebody agrees with me. The Oklahoma City Thunder are right there for the pickings.
I like that.
I still don't think the Thunder understand. You don't understand where you're at. Do not be the Bucks or Nuggets. You guys are still in this delusion. This one title is one MVP and some youth in the way of a franchise with all of the future that you have. Do not be like the Bucks and be like the Nuggets. I heard this story before. I saw this play out. Oh, we got our young star. We still got some nice people around him. We still got some assets. We're going to be a franchise going into the future. Next thing you know, it's been 7 championships in 7 seasons because you need more than just one guy. And Giannis is that guy, and you can give up so little for all the things that you have in order to get it done. I projected this last week, and I'll repeat it because it needs to be bared repeating. Even though this would maybe be too much, this is how much you have left in Oklahoma City to get something done. You could trade Hartenstein and a young guy like Wiggins, give up 5 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks, and still have your first and second over the next 6 years. That is how many picks you have stocked up thanks to Sam Presti and the moves that he made. And I know Sam Presti doesn't like to do this. And I know he likes to build within, and I know he likes to stockpile picks. But I still say, look at Milwaukee, look at Denver, other people who thought they had one MVP and some nice bench players enough to start a franchise run that are now completely not in that situation. You got lucky, and I will never let that go. Just like the Celtics last year, 2 years in a row, I saw a lot of things that had to happen, and being able to walk over a lot of injured and dead bodies to get there. Memphis wasn't just hurt, Ja Morant was hurt. Denver wasn't just hurt, they had Aaron Gordon and MPJ hurt. Then you beat Minnesota, who was young and wasn't really ready for it. Anthony Edwards had sprained his ankle multiple times. And then the Indy series, which also took you 7 games, was really, we're never going to know, but without Hallie tearing his Achilles and having that calf injury, you might not be winning at all. So this idea that you just got shit locked, I don't agree with you, and you have so many options, and Milwaukee has so little that they can do to offer Giannis. Turner's not enough. I will continue to hammer this home. Go get Giannis, or at least make the offer. This idea to stand pat, I don't agree. I just don't agree with it, but it is the way it is. Other news, the Lakers, if LeBron is who he says he is, DeAndre Ayton was enough. That, to me, was a hell of a just sleeper, unbelievable move you were able to get done, and it shocked the hell out of me for the price you got him for. 16.6 over the next 2 years because Portland was ready to let him go is absolutely bananas. Not to mention skinny Luka has finally got his fat ass in shape. He has been dieting. He's been working out. I told you this a long time ago. He could get in shape, and he has.
Find me a river, you fat baby.
We'll have to get to, re-signing Austin Reaves and discuss that as well. But LeBron opted in for his $51 million and his 24-8-8, which he averaged last year. He still thinks he's worth it. And if you have skinny Luka, LeBron, Austin Reaves, and the rest of the things they have, including DeAndre Ayton, I once again will ask, what's your problem? But we'll break it down more a little bit later. The Knicks, man, that was a huge surprise. And shout out to Mike Brown. They didn't make any moves as far as players, but maybe only team luckier than the Mavericks. Getting a head coach like Mike Brown was an unbelievable move. I love Mike Brown, former coach of the year just a couple years ago. Sacramento, for whatever reason, thought it was a good idea to let him go. Ask him how they're doing since he left. He is a great coach. I've watched him outcoach Kerr game after game after game, and I think he's a phenomenal pickup. The fact that you landed him when he wasn't even your first option is just pure luck, but congratulations to the Knicks. You got a big one. So those were the big moves that happened, but again, as Mark Cuban once said, it's always the littlest decisions that have the biggest impact. And I saw 3 sneaky moves that, in my opinion, are going to change the entire landscape of the NBA as far as these are just small, cheap pickups a lot of y'all don't see coming. And these are those signings and trades that don't break the internet, but come April, they make playoff noise. I got 3 of them, I think, that were under the radar. So let me start with the first one. This one was the biggest one, in my opinion. Shout out to Boston. Luka Garza is a dog, and I don't know why he's never been used more. I am so mad at Golden State for not signing him. I think this will be a huge payoff in 2 years when you get everybody healthy, but he gets a chance to shine this year. I look at a Luka, the National College Player of the Year in 2021, and I see something between a Jokic and an Enes Kanter, Celtics fan, remember. If they had a baby, that's kind of the style and the scoring threat that he possesses to me. His stats in the NBA are not impressive, I'll give you that. 3.5 points, 1.4 rebounds, and just 7.4 minutes per game. But look when he's been given opportunity in the G League, 27.8 points and 8.8 rebounds, 56% shooting, almost 37% from threes in just 24 minutes per game. The reason I think he's a steal, he's got elite touch and shooting for a big. He shot again 56% from the field, 37% from 3 in the G League. He's a legitimate stretch 5. He uses his frame. He's smart, great footwork, knows how to use the angles. He's also an unbelievable rebounder. rebounder despite limited minutes. He averaged almost 9 boards per game in the G League. He knows how to fight for his position. He's got that dog in him. He boxes out. He's got a high IQ. He's an efficient scorer in short burst. I mean, to average 27.8 in just 24 minutes, even in the G League, shows that this dude can absolutely get it done down low. I think he is going to be one of the biggest steals 2 years from now. People are going to go, how much did it cost? Excuse me, only $5.5 million guaranteed over the next 2 years? That is just absolutely crazy. I think that is just not a backup center for you. I think could eventually be a starter or at least six-man center who won't screw up the offense, who's skilled, has a high IQ. It's a nice depth piece, and for less than $6 million, you guys really stole him. And damn it, Golden State. I have no idea why you didn't go after Luka Garza. I've been screaming for years. Go get Luka Garza. The second sleeper, and this goes back to, like I said, Detroit, along with Atlanta, getting smart about, hey, the big dogs are down, the kings of the jungle are hurt, it's time for us to pick at the carcass. Picking up Duncan Robinson, along with all the other moves you've made, and the meteoric rise Detroit has been very intelligent in my opinion. Duncan Robinson to the Detroit Pistons will be a big move. When you lock in a star point guard like Cunningham with that extension, spacers and shooters are always valuable. They were 6th in the East. They've now won 30 more games than the year prior. They needed shooting, but they also needed winning experience, and you got both in a 3-year, $48 million sign-in trade with Duncan Robinson. Again, numbers don't jump off the paper, but 11 points per game is nice, but at 39.5% from threes, 37 starts last year. He shoots 40% on over 7 attempts from 3 per game and has the Miami Heat franchise record, 1,202 three-pointers. That is the most in Miami Heat's history. He is one of the best volume shooters from 3 in the entire league. Multiple times over his career has made over 200 threes, and he just is a sniper, a sharpshooter, but he's also a proven role player. He's got finals experience. He's trusted. He's battle-tested, and he's under the radar as a playmaker. I know looking at him, and when he came in out of college, he really was just truly a spot-up shooter. But if you watch him now, as he averaged last year a career-high 2.4 assists per game, he knows how to put the ball on the floor better than you give him credit for. He knows how to make reads. I think he's unbelievable off the ball as a cutter and somebody who's able to find the space and keep moving and keep other defenders busy. I think he's got a nice floater. I think he's got great instinct. But the Pistons didn't just need shooters. They needed pros. You got the floor spacing to help with Cunningham and Ivy when they go to the basket, but he gives structure to a young team that needed some playoff experience, and for just $16 million a year in a rising salary cap, I thought that was, again, a hell of a move. The third one, this one people have talked about, but I don't think you've talked about enough, and I want to highlight it specifically for a couple reasons. Cameron Johnson going to the Denver Nuggets was not just big, in my opinion, for both teams, because I think they both needed a change of scenery. But I finally had this confirmed, a theory I've had for a long time, that when Michael Porter Jr. was in Denver, he was looked off by Jamal Murray, meaning that I saw multiple times, and as a former shooter, I know what this looks like. When your point guard sees you open and just decides not to give you the ball, that happened going back to the beginning when Michael Porter Jr. showed up. And I used to scream and argue with Nuggets fans on Facebook, and I finally got it confirmed. I met someone who knows him personally, and at least from what I've heard, allegedly, he feels very similar to this idea that, yeah, there's just some chemistry issue here, and they don't like giving him the ball. So bringing in a new guy who does a lot of the same things that Michael Porter Jr. does, but is also cheaper and better on defense, is not just brilliant. In my opinion, that pushes them to the second seed in the Western Conference, not the damn Houston Rockets. But you look at, again, the trade for Michael Porter Jr. and just one first-round pick all the way in 2032. Cam Johnson, 12.4 points per game, but most importantly, 39% from threes last year, and also 85% from the free throw line, and you saved $17 million. That allowed Denver to go under the mid-level exception. So they didn't just add Cam Johnson, who I think is at least equal to Michael Porter Jr. for what the Nuggets need. It allowed them to add as well Bruce Brown, Valanciunas, and Hardaway Jr. That now gives them a bench that they didn't have before. He is an elite catch-and-shoot threat that is only maybe rivaled by like Duncan Robinson's and Klay Thompson's of the world. 40% from deep last year. Even better percentage-wise on his catch-and-shoots. Jokic is going to have a field day throwing outlets out there to him. He's also a better playmaker than Michael Porter Jr. ever was. 3.4 assists to Michael's 1.2 assists per game. He knows how to create short rolls. He knows how to make skip passes. He's just smart, high IQ. He's clearly more involved and into the defensive side of the ball, more disciplined than MPJ defensively. And on offense, he does things besides just stand around and sometimes force shots, which was, I think, a lot of the reason for some of the problems between Murray and Porter, but he makes switches, he cuts, he knows how to move, he's young, he's active. This is a fit over flash move. He's a better two-way balance as well, but the cap flexibility that he brought and the skill set, which is going to amplify Jokic, I thought was huge. But really, just by saving $17 million and unlocking the MLE, which allowed them to add Brown, Valanciunas, Hardaway Jr. alongside him, that is what's going to make them a true contender next year. And I just hope, for his sake, get along with Jamal Murray, because clearly there was a problem between Michael Porter Jr. and Murray on the court. I saw it for years. I used to argue this, and now from people I know that know him have said something close to along the lines of, yeah, dude, he felt the same way, that this guy, whether it was jealousy, whether it was fear of losing that secondary scorer spot, Jamal Murray clearly had an issue with Michael Porter Jr., and it was so obvious to see, and now we'll see what happens with the addition of Cam Johnson. So again, Cam Johnson, Duncan Robinson to the Pistons, and Luka Garza to the Celtics. I thought those are going to be 3 sleeper moves. Try to remember those. We'll see if I'm right later. I think I will be. I'm usually right a lot more than you give credit for.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
Moving on completely. I want to talk to the Lakers. Letter to Lakers fans and LeBron fans specifically. I get it. You're spoiled. You're a spoiled franchise and fan base, and I really don't hate you. I used to be a huge Lakers fan growing up. But I got to ask, between a bitchy LeBron, Luka, and a greedy Austin Reaves, what's your problem?
What's your problem? What's your problem?
And I'm being serious, because you can't buy an all-NBA first team. And if LeBron is LeBron, this pickup of DeAndre Ayton, in my opinion, was giving you everything that you need to be a contender. But let me start one at a time here, and I'll start with skinny Luka. And like I said,
You got You waltz in here and you think you know everything, don't you?
Luka's skinny, and somehow everyone is shocked. And damn it, I've been screaming this for years. It's nice to see that he's done it. Congratulations to Luka. You should be proud of yourself. But all the people that cried and bitched and moaned and got mad at me for saying this dude is fat and out of shape.
Find me a river, you fat baby. You disgust me.
He got in shape in like less than a month. I mean, that's how easy it was. But boy, I got dragged for years. I said he's out of shape. He's undisciplined. He's coasting on his talent. And y'all kicked my ass, and you accused me of body shaming and all sorts of other silly shit. And all I tried to explain was, dude, there's a difference between us average Joe and what our weight is and how we can maintain versus a 25-year-old star athlete making over $50 million a year with the expectations of being in decent condition. He had his gut hanging out. He's huffing and puffing by the time the second quarter starts, and y'all saw it last year finally, why the Mavericks eventually made a dumb trade but got rid of him, and why the Lakers were frustrated with him on the defensive end. And so to see him do it not only just proves me right, but also just lets y'all all know that anybody in the league, and I'll include Jokic, is capable of getting themselves in shape quickly. These are young star athletes.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
And he looks phenomenal. Dropped 30 to 40 pounds. He's gone down from 270, they said anywhere from 235 to 240. And I'll remind you one more time, he was the only guy last year, this is how out of shape he was, that was 270 pounds under 6'10", that was not named Zion Williamson. And it wasn't rocket science. They said he cut out French fries, that he helped out his diet. He started introducing more high-volume cardio. And lo and frickin' behold, the so-called guy who, was always going to be a little bit, it's his body type, it's this and that. He looks amazing. He looks absolutely ready to go next year. He looks dedicated. And all he had to do was put down the fries and the baby back ribs.
Chili, baby back rib.
I try to tell y'all right here to you, because boy, I got dragged way too much for that. I got accused of all sorts of body shame and all sorts of nonsense. Luka looks great. And man, the Lakers organization and the NBA in general seem to have already forgotten just how good Luka was. Rookie of the Year his first year, all NBA first team for 5 years after that. He is still a top 5 player in this league. Just made the finals a couple years ago. He didn't need sympathy. He needed a diet, and he needed a plan. He got it done. Congratulations to him. And man, Luka next year with a full offseason under his belt and being in shape is the first reason I asked the LA Laker fan base, as I look at your roster, what are you bitching about? On the second one, I got to warn Austin Reaves. I want to talk to Austin Reaves specifically. I would be very, very careful. Austin Reaves has just declined recently his $14.9 million player option for 26-27, and the translation means he's aiming for a bigger payday. Now, I don't think he doesn't deserve any increase in his payday, but I've heard anywhere from him wanting possibly the $247 million max deal or to go get like $180 million somewhere else. And I get betting on yourself, but I'm going to warn you, Biggie wasn't lying, man. Mo money, mo problems.
Mo money, mo problems.
Too many athletes, just like an Austin Reaves, who are a good role player and a possible star in a good situation, go chasing the bag, and they regret it the moment they do it. Mo money, mo problems. Too many athletes chase the number, not the situation. And if you look at Austin Reaves' situation, man, he's got 3 good reasons to stay in Los Angeles. Besides the fact he's a fan favorite, he is beloved. He is playing next to a now in-shape Luka and a LeBron James, who supposedly is the GOAT, according to a lot of other people out there. He is on a title-contending roster and in the NBA's largest media market where you can make money outside of the game, easiest if you're on the Los Angeles Lakers. But he lets his ego take over, which is kind of where I'm wondering if he's doing it. He risks becoming another name. This is not unusual. He is not the first one to become a cautionary tale. Examples would include things like, look, Malik Beasley, yes, he did get in trouble for all the gambling and everything else, but you can see where chasing the money can become problematic. And he had a good role in Milwaukee, and he decided to run from that. Next thing you know, a lot of trouble went his way. That was off the court, but still, you get my point. Joakim Noah makes a lot more of a direct comparison. The $72 million deal never fit. He got waived and stretched in New York after 9 beloved years for the Chicago Bulls, and that is a perfect example of a guy who kind of turned down good money, chased a bag, and lived to regret it. Latrell Sprewell is probably the best example. That idiot turned down $21 million and never played again after he made the quote famously, $21 million is not enough to feed my family. What an asswipe. And I think that's one of my biggest issues with people in the NBA or star athletes not appreciating their situation enough. It's a overall frustration, and I don't think a lot of you young kids know this. Dude, they have so much goddamn money, it is impossible to screw up if you're not just an asshole. If you're not just a complete idiot. Even in Austin Reaves, and most of these guys with these contracts, and hear me out, if they get $20 million in their savings account over the course of their career, $20 million is life-changing money if you are not an asshole. If you know what you're doing with your money, and I don't mean to pick on Austin Reaves, I'm just using him as the latest example of, man, it's nice to have a lot of stuff, but say you have $20 million free and clear, which is easy for an NBA athlete to do nowadays, and you just get your 5% off it, dude, that's $1 million a year. That's like $80,000 a month. That is a mortgage, that is cars, that is your girl buying stupid stuff, that's taking your family out to dinner. That is a nice little nest egg, and then whatever you make on top of that, you can do whatever you want with. But as long as you're able to keep at least $20 million in the bank, that's $1 million a year just from your savings account. That is so easy to live off that it's almost laughable that so many of these guys still blow through their money. It's sad to watch, but I guess my bigger point is just that, dude, you don't need to chase the bag if you're in a good situation. If you're able to make the money that they're able to make, all you need, honestly, is $20 million. Put that in savings, and everything else is just freaking gravy. I've never really understood how these guys can still be so dumb with their money. It's somebody maybe because I know better and I've seen it and I know how handling just certain just basic strategy is able to keep you in a lifelong situation. But just the point being overall, you're in a good shot. You're in a good spot if you're Austin Reaves. You don't need to go out and chase the absolute bag. Do not make the mistake, mo money, mo problems, that guys like Noah or Sprewell or other cautionary tales have done. Be happy where you are and just accept being the second or third, man. I don't know why so many people get upset about it. Second or third is a sweet spot. Everyone wants to be the king. Everybody wants to be the crown. Has nobody seen Game of Thrones or some of these other shows? What's the first thing to do? Try to take down the king. Nobody goes for the, really the queen or the prince or whoever's like third or fourth in command. Being third and fourth in command is freaking beautiful. Jimmy Butler's figured that out very well in Gold State. He's still getting paid. He's still getting laid, and he's having a good old time being number 2 to Steph Curry, and he's had no problem being like, dude, I'm Robin to his Batman. I think because he's older, maybe he gets it. Austin Reaves, you're young. I hope you're not dumb. I would stay in Los Angeles, even though there might be more money and other roles out there. Don't bite yourself in the ass. If you get $20 million in the bank, you'll be just fine. LeBron James. This is always a frustrating thing with him and his fan base because it's like, dude, how do y'all not see it? Once again, the hypocrisy and the back and forth of LeBron has always been one of the more frustrating things when you try to figure this dude out because, you're over 40 now and he's still pulling the same silly stuff he did before. Just last week when he said on his podcast, he was literally on a microphone knowingly and said, man, I don't think rings are that important when it comes to the GOAT. When it comes to being the greatest ever, it shouldn't be defined by rings and ring counting. That's not really the way to go. His exact quote was, if there's all about rings, then Bill Russell's the greatest ever, and we know that's just not the case. He also brought up like Barkley and Steve Nash. So that was already weird because now he's come back and said, I'm going to keep a monitor on you guys and make sure we have a championship-level contender when you just said last week that being a champion was necessarily not that important to being the GOAT, which is really what you want to be. And then you complain you need more help in that same argument, but in that same vein, saying just a day or two later, you opt in to your $52.6 million option and somehow have the nerve to say, well, I still need more help. Dude, how do you at 41 as a billionaire opt into $50 million, completely hamstring the Lakers, who are now over the cap? They are hard capped bad, and were able to make the one move what they were able to do because of a miracle, and still have just the asinine just audacity to go, dude, I don't know. I don't know if this is enough. Can you guys help me out? How can we help you out if you spent all the damn money and you're a billion? You see what I'm saying? It's hard. It's hard for me to not kind of just go, this guy just never... There's a reason we don't put him up with Mike, and it has not just his on the court, it's the off the court stuff, it's the stupidity, it's the hypocrisy. I mean, Luka is in shape. As we've just discussed, Luka Doncic is in shape and ready to go. You bring back Austin Reaves, which I think he should get smart here and re-sign eventually. That's a nice piece as well. But you got other ones along with the Ayton pick. Guys like Rui and Vanderbilt and Connect and Vincent. I mean, this is more help than 90% of the league. If LeBron is who he thinks he is and who his fans say that he is, which is the greatest player of all time, an in-shape 26-year-old Luka Doncic, a now former number one pick DeAndre Ayton given to you for cheap, Rui Hachimura, guys like Vanderbilt, shooters like Connect and Vincent, is enough. That should be enough for the greatest of all time, who still at least physically looks like he is close, not all the way in his prime, but he is still a very, very good player. And if he makes everyone better and he's the greatest of all this and he's this and that and da, how does he not be able to do more with the 90%? And how does he complain about it when he asks for all the money? He does not take the pay cuts like the other GOATs did. Tom Brady took pay cuts. Other GOATs have taken pay cuts. He doesn't want to do it, but yet he still wants to bitch.
You give me like a Cedric number fucking trillion headache.
It's just the worst. And DeAndre Ayton is, again, a steal. I mean, there's going to be questions because obviously Portland letting him go, and a lot of it was attitude-based, has got to be scary to a Lakers fan base. But you bitched the entire time this last week, we need a center, we need a center, we need a center. You didn't just get a center, you got a good one, and you stole him at $16.6 million. Bad attitude or not, you were a 50-win team with two Hall of Famers who needed somebody down low, and you were able to acquire a former number one pick who's a career 58% field goal percent shooter. He is 175 double-doubles over his career. He has averaged 10-plus rebounds in 4 of his last 6 seasons. He is a lob threat that Luka Doncic loves to throw to lob threats. He has nice touch, a good jumper. He has footwork, and this is the big one going back to Luka. He is top 10 in pick and roll efficiency. The one thing that Luka loves to do the most, play the pick and roll. This is so, I mean, for, again, $16.6 million, and LeBron is opting in for all his money. You have a skinny, in-shape Luka. You should get Reaves back. You got guys like Rui, Vanderbilt, Connect. Vincent, what's your problem?
What's your problem? What's your problem?
Lakers and LeBron. Dude, the idea that you aren't the Yankees, this isn't Major League Baseball with no cap. You can't just buy the entire starting lineup of the All-NBA roster and try your best to go ahead and win one. I think you got more than enough. I've never quite understood the hypocrisy and bitching with LeBron, but such is life, and we'll move on. Next topic. I gotta quickly mention this because as a Caitlyn fan and a WNBA supporter, it is interesting. I think the rest of the world has caught up with what I already knew, that the WNBA they can't get out of their own way. The WNBA, for all of their improvement, cannot get out of their own way, and the world is noticing that they've had an attitude problem that I warned you about for years, and it was just inevitable that was going to bite them in the ass, and that's exactly what happened. But in case you missed, Caitlin Clark being voted 9th by the players in the All-Star vote really did seem to be the nail in the coffin of people finally going like, Jesus, these girls got some hate in their hearts.
I hate.
Besides the Golden Goose, the number 9th out of the entire league, just at the guard, you're out of your freaking mind. But back to good news, the WNBA is accelerating. That's at least something to be happy about. Things are finally picking up. A lot of it thanks to Caitlin Clark, but not just her. The entire league in general is completely rising. They have a new television deal. They're going to be able to renegotiate their CBA this year. Looks like they'll finally be making money. They're expanding. They're increasing from 13 teams to 18 teams by 2030. Just added the Valkyries this year. They're selling out. They got the highest attendance already of anyone in the WNBA. They outdo NBA teams. They're going to add Portland in 2026. They're going to add Cleveland in 2028. They're going to add Detroit in 2029. Whether Sophia Cunningham thinks it's a good idea WNBA or not is irrelevant. They are backed by NBA teams. They're all paying that $250 million expansion fee. Money coming in, pouring in, ratings coming in, expansion coming in, attention coming in. And then y'all just go out of your way to just prove that you just can't get out of your own goddamn mother effing way, and you vote Caitlin Clark ninth. Boy, it's just something that I tried to warn them. I swear to God, I got the receipts on this. This is a video I tried to explain to y'all before. This was when Angel and Caitlin weren't even in the WNBA yet. And as a basketball fan, someone who supported them, I tried my best, and I begged and I pleaded, and I said, dude, do not fumble the bag. Do not continue the bullshit that you do and the nonsense that you do. It is too important of a time in a year, and there's too much money on the line, and they did it anyways, and I still got the receipts. Don't fumble the bag. Do not fumble the bag. This is their Tiger Woods, Larry and Magic moment. This is the 1 year. I'm begging you, act right. You have a television deal coming up next season. You have all sorts of new excitement. Stop the bullshit. Put your best foot forward. Stop the bitching. Stop the moaning. Give yourself a chance to actually make money. As the NCAA women have now proved unequivocally, we will watch women's basketball. We will support women's basketball. We will sell out stadiums. They will pay money. They will give them sponsorships. There's millions of dollars to be made. There's eyeballs to be brought to the screen. The problem, unfortunately, WNBA is you. And this is something they don't like hearing. This is something that's tough for me to deliver. But the fact is, for the last 5 years, you guys or ladies have been insufferable. You have whined, you have bitched, you have finger pointed, you have blamed everybody else for your low ratings, you have bitched about the pay even though you don't make any money. Finger point, you bring up politics, you do all this sort of nonsense, and you're insufferable. Most of the stars, if you listen to them talk in the WNBA for more than 20 seconds, you're like, oh my God, click. They are just tough to listen to because all they want to do is whine and complain. Problem has unfortunately been you, and it's a brand issue. I'm begging you, please don't fumble the bag. Please don't screw this up. Just pretend. You're a free agent. You have a television contract. Pretend you enjoy doing this. Don't screw it up. I still got the receipts to prove it. I tried to warn everyone. And so I guess the only good part for me in this entire sad situation is that at least proved I'm not just a dick, that I'm not just some misogynist pig. I had a lot of people, family included, and friends, and my girl and everybody else going like, man, you kind of pick, isn't this the picking on the women? No, this is picking on the WNBA. The WNBA has been pandered, they have been coddled, they have been ignored, and they have been left alone too long, and it was only a matter of time before everyone kind of ran out of patience and went like, Jesus, dude, what is wrong with y'all? What was absolutely, it's been obvious for a minute. So what all has happened in case you haven't been paying attention? First of all, I do have to get into Caitlin has been on a slump, and it's been kind of sad to watch. Caitlin has had injuries. Her shooting is down. The ratings are down to go along with it. So as much as her rivals and haters seem to somehow be celebrating this 2-week period, I do find it kind of hysterical because it is directly connected to the television ratings, and y'all still don't quite grasp what's going on here. She was sidelined in June, in case you missed it, with a left quad injury, and now is out again now with her groin injury that they really are trying to rest her, so she's out again tonight versus the Aces. But when she was out, the ratings didn't go well. The ratings did horribly. They dropped 50% from 1.8 million average to 847. And that little period when she came back went right back up, popped all the way back up. Matter of fact, that game they had, the Fever Liberty, just a week or two ago was 2.2 million average and a 2.8 million peak. One of the most watched games in WNBA history where she had 32, 9, and 8. But she has been in a slump. And I don't think it's good for the league as much as they seem to be celebrating it. But through 9 starts this season, Caitlin Clark is just shooting 39% from the field, only 29.5% from threes. That's actually below the league average from threes. Meanwhile, the rivals are doing good. Paige Beckers having a phenomenal rookie start. Congratulations to Paige Beckers and all the people that said she's the real deal. 18.4 points per game, 5.8 assists per game. She was named an all-star starter as a rookie, just like Caitlin was last year. Angel Reese has had herself a hell of a 2 weeks. We got to shout out Angel. She has been phenomenal. 12.4 points, 12.6 rebounds. She was named Eastern Conference Player of the Week, and she deserved it. She got her first career triple-double, 11 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists. So her rivals are doing better. Her haters are enjoying it. Caitlin has been struggling a little bit. The league has been struggling for television rating with her out, but I will still reiterate to you guys that think like, oh, this is time to celebrate. I would still slow down and remind you that if this is her worst that she'll ever be, let's be real, she is still one of the best players in the WNBA. I will repeat this one more time. This is the floor. Imagine the ceiling. So Caitlin, in a admitted shooting slump, is still just outside the top 10 with 18.2 points per game and is second in the league with 8.9 assists. P.S. That means she is still number one, just like she was last year. In points created per game, she is single-handedly 20% of the Fever's offense. Aaliyah Boston, who a lot of people want to give a lot of credit to and is well-deserved, just so you know, without Caitlin, drops from 15.9 points per game to 12.6, 8 rebounds to 5.4 without her. Caitlin Clark is still third in the league, struggling to shoot in three-pointers made per game. Part of it's because she shoots from an average distance of 28 feet, more than Steph Curry, Trae Young, or Damian Lillard. And she, again, at her worst, is the first rookie with multiple triple-doubles in a season. She already has 3, and in just 41 games, that is the fastest player to 3 triple-doubles in league history. She is now tied with Candace Parker for third most ever in WNBA history, trailing only Thomas and Ionescu. She already owns the WNBA record for 19 assists in a game. She already owns the record most assists in a season, 337. She already owns the most 25-point, 10-assist games in league history and got there in 100 games quicker than anybody else had ever done it. Her 122 threes made in her rookie year are the most ever. So point being, this is her at her floor. This is the worst she's going to be. This is the time for y'all to celebrate. And she is still just outside of the top 10 in scoring. She is second in assists, number 1 in points created. She is third in three-pointers made. She makes from an average distance longer than Steph, Trae, or Damian Lillard. She already has third most triple-doubles. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, don't revel in this shit too much. Don't get a little too happy if you're a Caitlin hater. If this is her floor, imagine her freaking ceiling. But women are their own worst enemy, and there's this idea that's kind of different, that rising tides don't raise all ships, that things are finite, that success is finite. Somehow, and I don't know where it started, they got trained into this concept that everybody and everything is a threat, and if they do well, you can't do as well. And I don't know where that attitude started, but it is no more prevalent in any sort of league than the WNBA. They have really been just a beacon of, there's just this attitude that permeates and poisons a culture here. So the All-Star snub, as most people know, was embarrassing. It was sad. It was pathetic. I mean, she did get to she's a captain for the All-Star game because the fans and the coaches and the media were able to do much better in their vote. But the fact that she, who had 1.3 million fan votes, which was the most in WNBA history, for context, in 2023, the top 30 vote getters combined only combined for 1.1 million. She got 1.3 this year by herself. A little bit of an increase in fan appreciation there. That she was voted 9th amongst just the guards in the WNBA by the players. It was a different level, and it really permeated and kind of went through everybody's walls or any sort of objections they would usually have. Black, white, yellow, brown, male, female, gender fluid, whatever. Everybody just went, are you guys out of your freaking mind? The 9th best guard in the WNBA?
I am a dumb
Or have you completely lost it? I mean, Dick Vitale, who's not known to be crazy, said this is pure jealousy. Someday they'll realize what she's done for them. People I saw on Fox Sports, like, man, this is a joke. This is pettiness. This is envy. Can you name even 8 other players better than Caitlin Clark? And even having her own teammate, Kelsey Mitchell, who I love being 6th, was bananas. Paige Beckers at 4th is bananas. Brittany Skies above Caitlin Clark is absolutely just ridiculous.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
The even funniest part of this that a lot of people brought up, if she's the 9th best guard in the league, why do y'all guard her so damn hard? If Caitlin Clark is just, a throwaway, barely an all-star, according to your votes, why does she get double-teamed more than anybody else in the WNBA by an insane margin? I actually have a chart to back this up. She's the most double-teamed player in the WNBA by a country mile, 107 double-teams just last year as a rookie. The second player only got 77, and the average player got 40. So she got over double the amount of double teams anyone else received. And oh, by the way, you can just watch from the beginning. This girl gets trapped at half court. She gets face guarded 30 feet. She has girls that are shooting free throws. They don't even watch the thing go in because they're already running to go try to face guard Caitlin. In all-star games, Kelsey Plum, considered a GOAT and a veteran, is full court pressing her. In an all-star game, an exhibition, they beat the shit out of her as much as they can. They fight, they poke her eyes, they hack, they claw, they knock her down, attracts more flagrant fouls by herself than 85% of the rest of the league. Chicago Sky, Angel Reese's coach, Tyler March, even said once when they asked, what do you do to try to stop Caitlin, as a team? He said, everything. We try everything. It's never a one-person effort. You have to guard her with all five. Coaches say it. Fans see it, everyone else sees it, and somehow y'all have the audacity, even as you double team, knock her down, and do everything you can to try to stop her, and she's still putting up the numbers that she does, have the audacity to say it was ninth. It was just a bad look. It was really embarrassing. I'm only glad that at least the rest of the world has kind of moved past and understood what I said over a year ago of like, yeah, this goes beyond regular even envy or jealousy. This gets into some weird, bitter, just nasty place that is just not necessary or appropriate for a league that is expanding with new teams, new money, new audiences. And if you want to just grow the league money-wise, that's one thing. But if you want to grow with integrity, you really got to learn to let some of this stuff go and stop picking on your biggest asset the way that you do. And you may have not voted Caitlin Clark in the top 5, but the rest of the world already sees she's well above the 9th best guard in the WNBA. And sadly, I was able to see this coming. I tried to warn you. This was a league that was just too pandered to, too left alone for a lot of obvious reasons that I won't get into. They weren't really ready for the wave they were about to get. And I'll at least leave you with this quote. Toni Morrison, she was the first African-American woman to win the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1993. If you want to fly, you got to give up the stuff that weighs you down. So if you don't want to listen to, me for, again, obvious reasons, listen to a Nobel Prize-winning African-American writer, Toni Morrison. If you want to fly, you got to give up the stuff that weighs you down. At some point, it's time to grow up. You're trying to grow the league. You're trying to do things. And the entire world, and this permeated every race, gender, and everyone else, just went, Jesus Christ, you ladies are on a new level of petty. Putting her 9th is a new level of petty. All right, last thing. I'm not letting this go. I really don't care when anyone says Shohei Ohtani needs to be the closer for the LA Dodgers. The 9th inning samurai, just do it.
Do it! Just do it!
Just do it. And if I need any evidence, I will go right back to their last game versus the Royals where Shohei came in and threw 2 scoreless innings, including his career-high 102-mile-an-hour fastball, the fastest he's ever thrown, in 2 scoreless innings, and they lost the game because the next inning that he came out, the Royals came out and immediately bashed him, and they lost 9-5. It is better to close than it is to finish. And yes, I know there are rules and things that apply to this. I discussed it last week, but in case you weren't with me, I'll remind everyone and just put a basic synopsis. If you're like me, trying to understand why don't they put him if you're only going to have short innings, only a certain amount of time, we're trying to protect his arm, why not let him pitch 1 or 2 innings at the end? Why don't you put him in the relief? Why don't you make him your closer? There's a few things here. The Ohtani rule is the big one. Ohtani, as everything that he's done in the league, has created his own rule that really hinders him from becoming a closer. If he's a starting pitcher and also hitting, he can remain as the DH, even if he's pulled as a starter. That does not work if he is not the starting pitcher. So as long as he starts the game, even if you pull him in the second, he can still DH the rest of the game. That rule does not apply if he comes in middle or in relief. I know Dave Roberts and experts have also disagreed with me completely and said, dude, this is a terrible idea. They're trying to bring him back slowly right now, even though he's only pitching 1 or 2 innings as a starter, to come in 2026 and be fully back to the Cy Young starting pitcher that he was. Dave Roberts has said, quote, protecting long-term health is more important. This is not about saves. John Smoltz, famous pitcher, knows his stuff from Fox Sports, said, quote, using high leverage adrenaline situations on his now 2-time surgically repaired elbow is a bad idea. There's other doctors who have included the medical risk and said, dude, these unpredictable warm-ups are also a problem. That's another issue bringing in relief versus a starter, is that he's able to know he's going to start, warm up, and kind of get calmly into it on that surgically repaired arm. Relief is not that situation. It's unpredictable. It can put more stress on the arm, and doctors really discourage the idea of putting him in those situations. So again, the Ohtani rule, Dave Roberts and experts seem to disagree with me, and even some medical doctors have said because of the unpredictable warm-ups, it's a bad idea. And I still don't care.
Honey Badger don't give a shit.
I don't care. The bullpen right now sucks. It's the one part of the Dodgers organization that is not doing well. The bullpen is 17th In ERA, they are overused and they are injured. The Los Angeles Dodgers bullpen this year, that was supposed to be a bright spot with some of the moves they made in the offseason, has now pitched over 240 innings in MLB. That is number one, and more than 10 innings than the second team. They've had 13 pitchers injured, including guys like Evan Phillips, who now has his own Tommy John surgery to deal with. Blake Trinan has a forearm injury. They are injured. They are depleted, and they're having late inning collapses because their relief pitching needs help. You're only pitching him 1 or 2 innings right now in the first damn place. This is something that could be better for him in the long term, and the dude is throwing freaking gas. I got the highlights here for you. Shohei Ohtani is throwing gas. He has a 7-pitch arsenal, and already 3 games in, you can see exactly what I'm talking about in the excitement and the anticipation of, like, why don't they move him into a more featured and a closing role. His first game versus the Padres, he had 28 pitches. His fastball was already hitting 100 miles per hour in that first inning, but they did score a run, and he said he wasn't that happy, and it was his first start back. But in his second start back, he had 2 Ks on just 1 scoreless inning and was still hitting 98, 99 miles per hour. He had improved his cutter. He had showed control on a splitter as well. And now this last game versus the Royals, he pitched 2 scoreless innings, so now he's up to 2 innings where he had a K, he only allowed 1 hit, and the last fastball he threw hit 101.7 miles per hour. That is not just his career high. It is sometimes not unusual for even fast pitchers to come back after Tommy Johns and throw a little bit harder. In just his 3rd game back, he's already throwing a $102. Dave Roberts did admit that, dude, this stuff is already electric. It is borderline dominant. Ben Verlander of Fox said, dude, this guy has Cy Young stuff in short burst. So why are we so focused on putting him back as a starting pitcher? Starting pitchers average at least, 90 plus usually per game, even with pitch counts and everything else, anywhere from 70 to 90 pitches. A relief pitcher or a closer only has to pitch 10 to 20 per game. That's less stress on the arm to me, even with the unpredictable warm-up. And it's just the show, man. It's so... It's Mariano Rivera with a bat. Can you imagine, in Hollywood of all places, the defending World Series champs don't just have the unicorn, the Japanese Babe Ruth, but they basically have Mariano Rivera with a bat. The idea that he can come in and start as a DH and hit, 2-3 homers, get a couple stolen bases and do whatever, and then you're up 1 in the 9th, and just like when Rivera would walk into Enter Sandman, coming out of the bullpen... I don't want to scare Metallica too much. I know they get very picky about their music being played.
Download some Metallica and some Stevie Wonder.
So let's just move on. But when you heard that music with Mariano Rivera, I'll do it just one more time. You knew you were dead. You knew you were dead. We got to do this is too perfect. Just do it. Just put him in relief. Let him be the absolute just star of just almost sports right now that he is, instead of featuring him as a starter, even though it's a smarter move and it's safer and everything else. I can argue that it's not safer. Eventually, as a starter, he's going to have to pitch more pitches, and it's just not as good of a... You don't start games, you finish games. That's what you do if you're the best players, and you can put him... It's so rare in baseball to be able to put somebody in the situation to where... Imagine a Game 7, and he's already 5 of 6 with 2 home runs, and they're up 1 run, and you guys have finally figured out to put him in the closing position, and he comes out with his own walkout song. I picked this one. Just, this is too much. This is too good. God dang it, listen to me. Starting pitching is not your problem. Relief pitching is your problem. Playoffs, it's Game 7. Baseball can always use more of a story. They can always use a star. And I know he's a star already, but he's 5 of 6. He's already stolen 2 bases. They're down 1, and then this dude comes into this music. The crowd's going nuts, just like Rivera. But now he can hit. God, I'm right. I don't give a shit what anyone says. I am right about this. I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill. Shohei Ohtani needs to be put into relief. That's where you need to put him eventually. Just like you did with the World Baseball Classic. That was such theater years ago when you struck out Mike Trout and Japan was able to beat the United States, and it was the biggest deal in the world, and it solidified Shohei as the legend. That is the type of thing you can do instead of just forcing him into a situation, twice Tommy John now repaired elbow, that even isn't that really beneficial to you when your bullpen sucks. You look at the fact, just the last game in the first, as soon as he came out from his 2 scoreless innings, the Royals rocked you and he lost the game. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. Now I'm finished and I got to go, but I'm right as usual, and I hope you listen to next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I love y'all. Bye-bye.